Welcome in. Good evening. It's AC After Dark. We are live everywhere you can be live. Steve Willis, Jeb Beecham, and know that is not a glitch in your screen. That is the one, the only, Thomas. What's up, boys? Good
All
evening.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, doing good, guys. How y'all?
Man, we're good. We're good. Let to see you actually in the flesh here instead of in our chat. So if you're not in the chat, who's going to be? Well, it's alive and ready for you, ready to rock and roll. So we got an action-packed show. We're going to recap the Week 8, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss. We'll briefly talk about those games. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party is happening. There's this thing called baseball. Yeah, they're still playing that thing. We'll also talk about Ole Miss Auburn and our picks.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Picks. So, Steve, looks like Ole Miss found themselves a little bit of defense, huh?
Yeah. I sent a message to Jake Crane of the J Boy Show that just said, "Uh-oh, we play defense now," and it just kind of a funny response. Going
Yeah.
back and forth because we talked before the season. Like, look at Ole Miss's defense. Hypothetically, if I told you Ole Miss's defense was ranked 60th in the country, where would you put them? And it was north of 10-2 at that point. And this is a team, they get past Auburn Saturday, which Auburn's a good team. There's a chance Auburn can win that game. But if they do that, Ole Miss doesn't leave the state of Mississippi again. Their only other road game will be the Egg Bowl. So, just kind of an interesting situation.
Absolutely, and they look damn good doing it. And I don't care how down LSU is. That's an important game for both of these teams, and for Ole Miss to win in the fashion they won in is just impressive. And glad to see them get kind of back in their groove because they kind of lost it there for a minute. Even though they won a few games, they didn't look like the Ole Miss team that they looked like earlier in the season, where it was just kind of that explosive, just blitzkrieg type offense. They struggled a little bit against Tennessee, played a tight one against a team that everybody thought was going to finish dead last or close to it in the East, which Tennessee is definitely improved on that. And they've definitely surprised me a little bit. Not surprising long term, but surprising in how fast they've kind of risen to that level of play.
Yes, and also before we get going into whatever's going on, basically comment on your live stream. The bot will put it in the chat window that you can see over to the left, and we will try to interact with you. Basically, I just wanted to look about the echo channels, but you can see us on the Tide Talk podcast stream. You can see us on the Biscuits and SEC stream, and you can see us on the Believe in Georgia Dogs stream as well as the rest of them. So the chat is integrated there as well.
So come see us.
Yes.
Come interact. Stacy's here. Cassidy's here. We got a whole party here in the chat. Jake is live with us. He's in the fourth box where we usually have Tweets After Dark. Jake, you're much more interesting than Tweets After Dark, so I just got to say that. Bama, Tennessee, that game started out kind of nerve-wracking. What do you think, Jake? How did you feel going into that one and progressing through it?
Yeah, it was a fun game starting out. Tennessee went up a little bit early, and I was like, my gosh, it's shades of A&M again. And Hendon Hooker, no offense to Calzada, Hendon Hooker's a better quarterback, but we didn't exactly know how healthy he was going to be coming in. But I mean, he was like doing like flip flips or something like pregame. So I was like, okay, if he's doing that he's fine. So
yeah.
But and I did realize, or I had a feeling that later in the game, like third, fourth quarter, the depth situation would come and be a huge advantage towards Alabama, and it showed. It just wore Tennessee down. They don't have a lot of depth right now. They got a lot of guys hurt. Like me and Jet was talking before the show, they got a lot of players who shouldn't be playing, should be resting, but they're hurt, so they got to play, because they have nobody to step in. So I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen later in the game. So I'm just glad we got a good win out of it. And, we get an off week to kind of settle the nerves and we got LSU coming up. So I know them Tigers, they're going to be ready to go if they have a team to play after everything we saw today. What Eddie O said.
Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is called mailing it in. I don't want to practice today, so we're too hurt.
Yeah. That's called I'm gone anyway, and they're definitely not going to hire me this time as the interim, no matter how good I do. So, you guys want the day off? Okay. All right.
Although interim ed is the best ed.
Oh, absolutely.
Whole interim ed. So, interim ed was absent from the game against Ole Miss. That's for sure. That he did not show up there. But I was impressed with Ole Miss. I was impressed with Tennessee. They were able to push the field vertically, which I haven't seen a team do that to Alabama in quite some time. Like really push the field vertically that often. I mean, yeah, A&M did it some, but Tennessee I think was able to really put a lot of pressure on them vertically, and that was impressive to see. And Tennessee, man, I just when they get some horses, man, they're going to be dangerous. I love the way they play. I love the style they play. I hate to say that. I'm going to have to turn in my dog card. I'm afraid if I keep talking nice about Tennessee. But I can't help it, man. Josh Heupel's doing a great job there.
He really is. I am genuinely looking forward to watching Tennessee play each week because of their styles. They've got that Bob Shoop style on the defensive side of the ball to complement we're just going to call it the Baylor offense. It's like the closest relative to Lane Kiffin and Kendall Briles is that Tennessee offense. And it just meshes well. You can see how the defense is built for explosives to get the ball back to the offense, and the offense is supposed to hit you quick. So it's supposed, instead of a death by 1,000 cuts, it's supposed to just bludgeon you to death, like over a basketball style run that Tennessee is going to be capable of doing. And in the future they will be. If they will leave Josh Heupel alone, he is the right guy to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like in the coming years.
Jeff, your microphone's messed up, brother. We can't hear you.
Jeb has probably delivered the best soliloquy like 3 times, and we can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Apparently I turned it off. That's something you don't want to do in the middle of a broadcast, apparently. Yeah.
I hear that's frowned upon. Yeah, we are SEC After Dark.
This is high-quality H2O.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got the Braves game going right now in the background on my cellular device, and Braves are down 5-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Thanks for the updates on the chat as well. Max Free just did not get off to a good start for the Bravos.
Hey, can somebody tell me when Houston joined the American League? I've brought this up like 3 times. When did this happen?
Several years ago. They've been in there for a while now. They started out as American League bottom feeders.
Yeah.
And then they collected all this talent, and they bought Lowe's out of trash cans, apparently, and cheated their way to a World Series.
Apparently it was 2013 to answer your question.
Okay, 2013. Okay. Yeah, because I'm just sitting here looking at it, it's like, what's going on? I remember when these guys were playing the Mets in the NLCS with Mike Scott and Nolan Ryan. I remember that vividly.
Mm-hmm.
But, I quit caring really about baseball after 94. That strike just killed me.
It's getting good. The last couple of years, last 3 years, it's been really, really good, really competitive. Lots of young talent. There's starting to be some swagger a little bit with the game. Some of the young players are bringing that, like the bat flips and the stare downs and just having fun and screwing the old school unwritten rule book. Just throwing that right out the window. It's fun to see. Like Tatis is, I love watching him play. And a lot of people are like, yeah, he's too cocky. No, we need that.
People say that about Acuna too, but I mean, and talking about it's getting interesting. Ever since the Braves finally started winning divisions again, is when it become fun for me again. Because they had some terrible years.
They did. They really
But-
did. They had some really, really lean years. And it
But I
made
agree
me
that-
really hate the Nationals. It grew my hatred
Yes.
for the
Oh, yeah.
Nationals.
Absolutely. No, it's a sport that's kind of been on the decline a little bit. So I agree. I like this this new attitude being brought to it. I think it's going to help their ratings a lot. But it's a sport I grew up watching, so I love it, and I want to see it survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it will. I just think they need some things to make it a little bit more watchable on TV. And I think it'll be good. But this isn't MLB After Dark. This isn't World Series After Dark. This is SEC After Dark. So, anything else from around college football that stood out to you from Week 8? I know the SEC slate wasn't that great, but any other games stand out? Like the Iowa State Oklahoma State game was fun to watch. Our future conference mates Oklahoma almost went down to Kansas. That
Yeah,
one was
that's what I want to talk about. Let's do a little Big 12 after dark.
All right.
Because
Yes.
this is something that's just driving me absolutely crazy. Caleb Williams almost loses to Kansas, makes one play where he has no idea if that's legal or not. He just decided to make a play. In my opinion, he would have made that same play there as he would have passed the line of scrimmage. And they're talking about him like he should win the Heisman for beating Kansas. What's up with that?
What's up with that is that we don't have a really true Heisman candidate that people want to get behind. People don't want to admit that Matt Corral is the best player or Jordan Davis is the best player in the entire country. People don't want to admit that. So
Bryce
they're
Young.
trying to, they're trying to grasp at something. And Caleb Williams making that play seems to be it.
Yeah, it was a fourth down play against Kansas. If you don't get that, you lose the game to Kansas.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Kansas, who was like a banana peel away from being Vanderbilt.
That's so bad. Vandy's so bad.
Oh gosh.
If you listen to the Believe in Vanderbilt football podcast with Matt Perkins and Ryan Seymour, they're already out on Clark Lee. By the way, it's already Clark Lee ain't the guy.
Yeah, it feels a little Orgeron like watching him coach. They're doing some silly things. Things.
We'll be nice about it and say they're doing some silly things. And Iowa State finally playing like the Iowa State that we expected them to play like. And Oklahoma State doing Oklahoma State things where they finally get in a big situation and they lose. So the Big 12 is going to be interesting coming down the stretch. I don't think there's a favorite in that conference, is there?
Probably, if you made me pick one team today who's going to be the favorite in that conference, I would take Baylor.
I would too.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that leaves you with the Bears. The Bears. And I can't
Dave
bring myself
Aranda
to
is
pick them.
quietly doing a great job at
Do
Baylor.
you think he comes back to LSU?
Possibly. He's very straight laced. He's the anti-ed, and everybody, the way things are going, they have built a mental statue to him, and that is something that is going to eventually come into play in this LSU search.
Yeah. Will Anderson, yes, I'll throw him in the list. The only reason I say Jordan Davis is because as big as he is, as quick as he is, as dominant and havoc wreaking as he is, it's hard to quantify sometimes with a defensive tackle. But he definitely passes the eye test. So there's lots of people, but there's not that one standout guy that you're like, yeah, he's the Heisman. Everybody's catching him. So the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, a game that I've been to 10 times. And I'm probably not invited back because George only won 2 of those. 10. That happened.
The Spurrier and Urban Meyer, though, I mean, you can't hold that against you. It's not a superstition thing.
Well, I didn't go during the Spurrier days.
Oh,
I went during the. My first game was the Zucker.
Oh, Ron Zook.
Yeah, couldn't beat him. Couldn't get past his teams. 2004 was a fun one, and yeah, that one was a fun one. but yeah, Urban Meyer just 3 years in a row just ate our lunch. 07 was a fun one. That was good. Those were my 2 wins, but um, a very very fun matchup. It's a unique one where literally the stadium is split in half. Like with some of these neutral sites, you get these. You get mixed crowds, and you get pockets of red, pockets of blue. All that stuff. This one, it's literally, and you can see the split. It's very fascinating. It's like whoop, red all the way around, whoop, blue and orange all the way around, and you see the jagged split line between each upright, and it's pretty cool atmosphere. And every single year, one side is full, one side is empty, and it's unique. Um, there's a lot of debate on whether that game should stay in Jacksonville. I want to get you guys' opinion on that. Outsiders' opinions. Should it stay in Jacksonville or should it be a home and home?
It should absolutely be home and home. And I say that as somebody that Ole Miss Mississippi State game used to be in Jackson every year until like 1992 or 1991. And moving it back to campus, it would help Georgia out more than more than you even realize what's going on. And B, it's going to just create a better atmosphere.
Yeah, it will. Every other year you get that home field, and I think Jacksonville. I think like we're talking about the Jaguars here. I think Florida said they wanted to keep it on their turn in Jacksonville. If they still moved it to a home and home, which I'd be fine with, but I want that game to be played in Athens every other year, just so we can, we get Florida back up on campus and, just make that a really, really big home game every other year. I think that builds excitement for recruiting and all that stuff, and with the atmosphere that we have up in Athens, I think it just, and the atmosphere they have in the swamp too. I think it should be a home and home, and if Florida wants to play it in Jacksonville, so be it. But I think you have two great atmospheres in the swamp and Athens. So
yeah, and think about this: players for Georgia like Herschel Walker never got to play in the swamp. Yeah. Players like Tim Tebow never got to play between the hedges. That's an experience that all players should probably have. Nobody wants to play in the Gator Bowl or whatever they're calling that now. Nobody wants to play in Jacksonville Stadium. You don't want to be known as like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, we played there. No, it's a cop-out designed from old school rules. We need to go back to home and home. No conference games need to be neutral site, and that goes for Texas A&M, Arkansas as well.
I agree.
Yeah, that goes for anybody trying to play that stuff. I mean, I get these kickoff classics and all that stuff, and I don't know if you want a Jacksonville game for the South Georgia Dogs, play somebody neutral down there in Jacksonville, or just have them go to these neutral site games. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say, but I think it's time. I think they've had it in Jacksonville since 1933, outside of the 2 years where they tore down the Gator Bowl and built whatever they call this place now, Alltel Stadium or ERJ and Associates Stadium. I don't know what they call this thing anymore, but whatever they call it, it needs to not host the Georgia-Florida game every year. And the Cotton Bowl needs to not host the Red River Shootout either. Like I think it's time. Yeah. I think it's time for DKR to host Oklahoma. I think it's time for the Dogs to play in the swamp.
Yeah, I'm not against neutral site games. Alabama can play Miami to open the season in Atlanta. That's fine. I have no issue with that. Ole Miss opened up with Florida State on Orlando in like 2016. Those are fine. Let that be the neutral site game. Let that be the way that bowls supplement their revenue for the year and have that in there. But conference games absolutely should be home and home. Georgia doesn't deserve to lose a home game because they have to play one in Jacksonville, which is essentially a Florida home game because it's 50-50 split.
Right.
And I get it. It's unique. It was cool for a little while, but it's just time. It's time. And the fact that we're having such a heavy debate on this means this game's probably not going to be too exciting this year. They've got both teams have a quarterback I don't want to say controversy, but both teams are very, very indecisive on who they want to play at quarterback. Georgia trying to figure out if JT Daniels is healthy enough. And if he's healthy enough, absolutely he needs to be. He's QB1. He's QB1 for a reason. He has a higher ceiling than Stetson. Stetson is amazing. But again, like I keep saying, we've seen the limitations on Stetson. Stetson's a great spot starter. Stetson's a great, start 2 or 3 games for you and be spectacular. But we saw what he did over the course of a long stretch of the season. By the time he got to that Alabama game, they figured him out. Like, Stetson is going to get you to a certain point. I think JT can get you past that certain point. Stetson can come in and give you things that JT can't and be a good supplemental piece. But as far as carrying a team, I think JT's got to be that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a game. We'll get to Jeb in just a second real quick. Sorry about that, Jeb.
No, it's all right.
I thought he cut his mic again.
Yeah.
Poor Jeb.
Yeah. JT needs to be in there because this is about the playoff and the championship game. This is about the December on games. And JT gives you the best chance to win those games. Stetson Bennett can go 12-0 in the SEC. He can win all of those games. But this is about the games that are coming up in December in the SEC championship and the playoff.
Absolutely. Jeb, what did you have?
No, I agree. I think if JT Daniels, he needs to get back in and get some playing time in. And it's, Florida's a tough game. It's going to be a tough game, even if they are up and down.
Always
yeah, they're going to play the hardest in this game. But I think JT needs the reps. And he is your starter, like you said. He shouldn't lose it because of injury when he was playing well before. Mm-hmm. And Stetson Bennett he's good, but I think JT just looks better every time I've seen him play. I think he's got, like you said, the higher ceiling. He's a guy who can really take off for you.
When healthy, that guy just has complete command of the offense. So, Cassidy, to answer your question about why it's not, it's been a tradition since 1933. They've just always played the game in Jacksonville. Dan Mullen is so overrated for whatever reason. I can't stand the guy. I think you know the reason, Stacy. He's just a weird, cocky, arrogant dude. Smug. And speaking of which, I don't know why he doesn't know what he wants to do at quarterback. Like AR-15. Like, I mean, what more do you need to see from Emory Jones? Like, what more do you need to see that he isn't the guy? It's like Josh Heupel figured it out with Joe Milton pretty quickly. Like, yeah, you ain't the dude. At what point do you not realize that Emory Jones is just a running back with a good arm?
Yeah.
Like, the dude cannot play the quarterback position at this level. It's okay. DeJuan Mathis couldn't either. He's at Temple and he's flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just get so caught up with that potential, that word potential.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst words in sports, honestly.
Yeah.
It's okay. And it's not a knock on Emory. It is what it is. Like, he can't, he's shown that he cannot process the speed of the SEC.
Yeah.
He's got freshman corners picking him off from LSU who has mailed it in.
Yeah, the problem is, though, that Anthony Richardson, as good as he is, doesn't necessarily take care of the ball. And because of that...
That's just youth. That's just youth.
But I don't know if Dan Mullen can coach it out of him.
No, I don't think
I'm losing confidence in his ability to do it because Kyle Trask changed everything last year. Dan Mullen's offense changed. Everything changed. And whenever it went back to the old Urban Meyer Mississippi State offense this year, you realize the game had changed. And you needed that passing attack and the points and everything that goes into it. And I don't know if he is going to have the personnel to get back to that Kyle Trask system because of the AR-15, because of Emory Jones. He's kind of pigeonholed himself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, AR-15 is kind of on that. He throws it better. He's a little bit more accurate than Emory Jones, in a lot of his throws. But again, I think sometimes his confidence makes him make bad decisions and throw the ball in places that shouldn't be thrown. But you got to be able to take care of the ball at the end of the day. But I do think AR-15 does give you the better chance to win. He is more dynamic. He has a more live arm. His really good throws are a lot better than Emory Jones's really good throws. His bad throws aren't as catastrophic. And he's just an overall better quarterback. Now, is he at the level that is needed in today's college football? Probably not. Is he making a lot of youthful mistakes? Absolutely. How do you get around that? Well, his running game is actually pretty good. His running backs are actually, he's actually getting them involved now, which is something that I said that if he ever figured it out, he might be pretty good. But now that he's got them going, now he can't get the passing stuff going. So he's kind of stuck in this like never-ending time warp or however you want to describe it. But he's too busy like talking about how good his team is, and he does like it's almost like he's got his head in the sand. That's how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that a little bit to a certain extent, and it's like I said, I just don't know if Dan Mullen's going to be able to pull back. Although I expect this weekend he's done well in big games. I do expect Georgia to get Florida's absolute best. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but you're going to see wheel routes. You're going to see both quarterbacks. You're going to see a defensive effort even after what happened against LSU. That you're like, where have these guys been? But I still think it might be a 35-21 type game. I think probably 35-14 type game.
I think it's going to be 14. I think this Florida offense is a lot like Auburn's offense right now. Like they're good in spurts, but they're really bad in other spurts.
Yeah.
And their really bad spurts are catastrophic. And that's kind of where Florida is right now. They have inconsistencies at quarterback.
Yeah. If Florida throws it to the Georgia defenders and they turn the ball over and they don't play clean, this game could absolutely turn to a blowout really, really quick. Florida absolutely has to play clean. Now the question is, knowing that they have to play clean and knowing the pieces you have at quarterback, how do you make that happen and still be dangerous down the field, which you have to do against the Kirby Smart defense? It's interesting, and there's a ton of problems right now for the Florida offense.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to have opportunities to throw down the field unless those guys are on the run, because their offensive line is struggling in pass protection. You know, the Adam Andersons and Nolan Smiths of the world and Jordan Davis are going to be chasing those quarterbacks all over the place. There's going to be some things that those guys are going to get. It's going to be like DJ Ungulale. They might break one of these two quarterbacks or both. Like they're just going to. It's going to be brutal if they get going. Now, if Florida can find something that they can exploit and get down, if they can have a little success down the field, then great. They can settle in and have a really nice game. But if they let Georgia's defense get amped up, man, that's ball game.
Yeah, also, real quick, not to go ACC after dark, but going from DJ Ukulele to who their next quarterback is, when they changed it, when you don't even try to pronounce his name, it's like Phosphate or something like that. And it's Phosphate. Like, it literally feels like Clemson's trolling all broadcasters.
They go from a Hawaiian instrument to the periodic table.
Yeah. It's like, what is going on?
Now starting the periodic table. Clemson, man. Wow. They miss ETN? Do they miss their big offensive lineman? It's brutal.
I believe they're the only one that hasn't scored 20 points against a Power 5 opponent this season.
Yikes!
Wow. And they were tied with Kansas, but Kansas put 23 on Oklahoma or whatever.
And they have played Georgia Tech and Syracuse, and they still. That's pretty sad.
But they also helped Kenny Pickett's Heisman campaign, so
they absolutely did.
Yeah,
they absolutely did.
Hmm.
Mullen needs to turn Anthony Richardson loose. Yep. Absolutely, he does.
Also, John Davis has a question. It says, "Roll Tide Roll. Any update on Chris Allen? Stacy said he's most likely out for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. He is.
Okay.
That's brutal.
What's up, John?
John, what's going on, man? What's going on? John Davis, yeah, AR-15. It's time.
Yeah.
But I hope they don't figure that out until next week. And I hope they don't figure out that Grantham is not a great defensive coordinator until next week. Next week you can fire him. This week, don't fire him.
Oh,
This week,
also,
next week.
before we go, since Todd Grantham's weakness defensively is the deep ball, and you guys are so thin at wide receiver, I mean, it's obvious the game that you want JT Daniels, but, I mean, is this going to be a Lad McConkey show? Is this going to be the kid from Nashville? I mean, who is the guy that's going to step up this week? Because you have to attack that defense vertically.
Yeah, all the above, and Brock Bowers. It's going to be their show. And Darnell Washington is back, so he's been back for a few games now. James Cook is going to be one of those guys. Justin Robinson. I think Arian Smith is due back. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, I think, is due back too. That you could see.
What
them
about
get in the
Jermaine
mix.
Burton?
I haven't heard much on Jermaine, but I think he's still kind of. I think there's still kind of a waiting game on him.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be the A.D. Mitchell show. It's got to be the Brock Bowers show. It's got to be Lad McConkey, baby. Which those three pieces have scored a lot of points so far. So why not keep going with that? So
Yeah, is the rumor true that if Georgia makes the playoff, George Pickens might be back?
I've heard that rumor. He's working out, so he's moving around. He's participating a little bit in practice and individual drills and working on the side with Ron Corson and the training staff. So it's possible. I don't know. I mean, that's the goal, but I don't know if it's I don't know how realistic it is, but that's his goal. That's what they're working towards. Yeah.
Him, even with shoulder pads on in that game, is going to force the defense to shade his way, which is even going to open up Jermaine Burton, Lad McConkey, those guys on the outside, and to make them even more effective.
And if he comes back, it'll be a freakish recovery. So, yeah, I hope he does. I hope he can pull it off, but we'll see. He's working towards that right now, though. Is Cousin Eddie coaching Florida in 2022? I don't think they have the balls to fire him, and I don't think he's going to the NFL. So yeah, he will be.
I don't think they have the money to fire him at this point.
Yeah, I think they're kind of just stuck with him. Now, it'd be a huge favor to Florida if he decided to jump ship and go to USC, which that ain't gonna happen. There's no way. But I don't know. Crazier things have happened. But,
let's do a little Big Ten after dark, real quick. James Franklin says that he is completely focused on Illinois this week.
I heard
And
this.
he's not interested in the LSU or USC job, but because he is completely focused on Illinois. The problem is he played Ohio State this week.
Yeah.
yeah. He's focused on that overtime loss last week. He can't get past it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's
He's
convincing.
definitely
Yeah.
laser. Yeah, you got me.
How embarrassing was that game? They went into 9 overtimes and they only scored a combined 38 points.
It's the most Big Ten game ever.
It is.
Well, after the third overtime, they go to the basically the 2-point conversion shootout.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's yeah, God Almighty, it's
Yeah, just
embarrassing.
replace Penn State with Wisconsin or Iowa, and you've got the ultimate Big Ten story. The fact that it was Penn State actually kind of affects it and makes it look better than it was. It was a horrible game. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I mean Indiana's they're Michael Penix Jr.
Illinois.
fell off a
Yeah.
cliff. Yeah, I'm so focused on Illinois too. Yeah, Illinois, Burt Bielema. Did you see that formation where they had 9 offensive linemen all in a straight line?
Yeah, that was very Stanford like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at it, it's like, come on, you're doing this for show. This isn't real.
There's no way. And he had like 7 of them on one side.
Yeah,
It's like, what the hell, man?
it's like, come on, man. John says, to me, the whole switching agents to Jimmy Sexton means he's jumping ship to USC or maybe LSU, and it's already a done deal. Talking about James Franklin, because he's completely focused on Illinois this week. And yeah, I would agree. You don't change agents unless you want to get out. Dan Mullen changed agents to Jimmy Sexton to get out and go to Florida, to get the Florida job. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's a great hire for USC, but
I think it might be LSU.
James Franklin back in the SEC.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a chance he would take that LSU job. Do not overlook LSU in this situation.
I feel like they can do better, though. No?
I don't know. See, what the thing that everybody needs to take into account is the fact that these schools are fairly broke because of the COVID stuff last year. They're still operating at a whole. It's not business as usual right now. And that's the reason somebody like Shane Beamer's the head coach at South Carolina, because they had enough money to raise for the buyout, but they didn't have enough money for the next guy. So they had to find an economical approach to kind of go. And LSU's going to run into that. They got rid of Ed Orgeron. They're going to pay him $19 million. And now it's going to be, now what?
They're going to dig up. They're going to dig up some cause, and they're going to get out of it. But, but you're still got to pay. You're still got to pay James Franklin.
Yeah.
I think you're getting another overpriced dude. Like, if you're gonna go bargain bin shopping, go get Billy Napier. He probably doesn't command as much money as James Franklin.
See LSU, the ego will not allow them to hire Louisiana Lafayette's head coach.
Yeah,
that would be like Alabama, the coach at UA. Yeah, Bill Clark to replace Nick Saban. Ego is just going to get in that way.
Yeah, like go bargain bin shopping and get Will Healy. I mean, the fact that people know that that UNC Charlotte has a football program is credit to Will Healy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. Like, Will Healy should have been hired at Vanderbilt, personally. But like, if you're gonna go bargain bin shopping, like get somebody like that, man. Like that you don't have to pay a ton of money to. Like they're gonna have to pay a ton of money to James Franklin. And what did he show? That he got beat. What was it 13-10 and 9 overtimes against Illinois, who he's still focused on this week. I mean, like you're gonna pay $7 million a year for that. Oh,
listen,
like no.
In 2013, I think it was 2013, I was embedded with James Franklin. I saw how he treated the media. I saw how he did, and the way he glad-handed everything that was going on. I was in bed the whole signing day with that class and just saw it up close and personal what was going on. You can see why James Franklin is successful. But the problem is James Franklin has given up the thing that made him successful at Vanderbilt to try and be a head coach. And that is going to whatever the offensive coordinator and give them the way to go. Because when he was at Vandy, they were running the Ralph Friedgen system. They were doing Ralph Friedgen stuff. And they were hyper successful. If he would get back to that, they would be hyper successful again, because the stuff about promoting his program and all the stuff outside, he gets an A for that. If he would just allow himself to be the talent on the offensive side of the ball, they would start winning at a very, very high level. But for some reason, he will not do that.
He's got an ego now. Like he had a chip on his shoulder. Now he's got an ego because he's at the big bad Penn State,
which was his dream job.
Yep,
people need to remember that as well.
Yeah. He a little bit of snake oil salesman here, a little bit of shades of that. So,
John DeLon says he thinks that Woodward goes with Chris Peterson before he goes with Billy Napier at LSU. It's interesting. Chris Peterson would be interesting. I'd like to see what he can do in the SEC.
He ain't coming back though. He left. I guarantee he's just happy what he's doing. I don't think Chris Peterson's coming back. I don't think he's coming back for for an East Coast job or for an SEC job. He's a West Coast guy, I think.
Yeah, he says that Napier is making appearances on Baton Rouge radio shows, and he's lobbying him for the LSU job. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. This is the one he's been waiting on. It's obviously the one that he's been waiting on. He's been turning down job after job after job to get this job. But like I said, ego comes into play again.
Ego is not their amigo. What about Jamie Chadwell? Like, who's going to go out of the box and hire that guy?
Oh, South Carolina should have hired him.
Yeah, they screwed up. They couldn't afford him.
They should have absolutely gone after that guy. Oh, let's do a little Sunbelt after dark.
A little belt.
Yeah.
They did a little bit of expanding, didn't they?
Yeah. Southern Miss and Old Dominion are confirmed and announced by the conference. They say that Marshall and James Madison is going to take the step to move up. So that's 4 teams. Yeah, whoever is the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference needs to absolutely be at the top of the list for anybody else because he's done a fantastic job. And that conference, whenever it's all said and done, has a chance to be what the American was.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good
Absolutely.
point.
That's a great addition. I love the JMU addition. I think they're going to bring another element to that conference. They've needed to move up for quite some time. They've dominated FCS long enough. Sun Belt has that invitation. They've done it with App State. They've done it with Georgia Southern.
Done it with Coastal.
Done it with Coastal.
Coastal.
And now it is JMU's turn. It's going to be a tough conference.
Man, that is going to be a tough conference. Oh my goodness!
I'm not so sure the Mustard Buzzards don't want to stay in the Conference USA after those additions.
Yeah, the Fun Belt is going to be the Fun Belt, and I'm looking forward to that.
And I hope they stay on Wednesday nights because that I can actually watch them.
Go ahead, Jeb.
I was going to say, it's hard to think of the Sun Belt Conference as a good football, but it is something I'm going to want to see after this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like James Madison a lot. I'm glad they're finally moving up.
Mm-hmm. They've got some programs, man.
Yeah.
And I think North Dakota State ought to join the Big 12. Like they'd probably come in as favorites. I mean, Chris Kleiman Chris Kleiman made the jump to Kansas State. That whole program should just made the jump. I mean, shit, they'll come in immediately day one and be middle of the pack at worst.
That's what the Mountain West should do. They should go get North Dakota State. They should go get South Dakota State. They should go get North Dakota and just take them all and just get their expansion up to 16, 17, 18 teams.
Get Eastern Washington, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's their geographic footprint.
And UC Davis, Weber State, get all those schools, man. Southern Utah. Just absorb the entire Big Sky, plus North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Like if I'm the Big 12, I go after Missouri Valley, absorb them, because that's some good football. There's some good teams there. If I'm Pac-12, if I'm Mountain West, if I'm Pac-12, I absorb some of the top of the Mountain West, like San Diego State, Boise State. And if I'm the Mountain West, I absorb some of the Big Sky. Obviously, Fun Belt is doing the same on the East Coast. They're raiding the Colonial, so that'll be fun. Monmouth will be excited that James Madison is gone, but not to go FCS after dark.
Okay, well, no, we need to do Conference USA after dark now because what's going to happen? There's 4 or 5 teams that the Sun Belt doesn't want because they left the Sun Belt for Conference USA and there's bad blood. Where are those guys going to end up? Because it's teams like Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. Those guys are the ones that are in danger of being completely left out in the cold.
Yeah, because they burned some bridges. I guess the American would probably maybe just absorb them, or they just beg for forgiveness from the Sun Belt. I don't know. That's
you might see them take on the Sun Belt just says, okay, we'll take you as well. This is going to bring us up to 18 teams. But we'll take you as well. But for the first 3 years, you're going to take a half share. something like that. Just a way for the Sun Belt to get their pound of flesh for what those schools did to the Sun Belt back in the day.
Mm-hmm. The Sun Belt's got the last laugh, and it's pretty funny.
Is UAB part of Conference USA still?
They got accepted by the American, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going to American.
Along with like UTSA and Houston. No, Houston's going to the Big 12. It's a mess. I'll just put it like that. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis, I think. Memphis is going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were. Maybe they're not.
They're just in the American.
Yeah, I thought they. For some reason, I thought they were going Big 12, but not. Maybe they didn't get accepted yet. But so guys, shall we get into our picks now? Picks. Let's get in our picks. All right. Let's see here. Okay, guys. Jake, I'm going to start with you because you're the guest. You are our associate producer. You're not a guest. Missouri, -16 on the road at Vanderbilt. Going to be a lot of black and gold in the stadium. Not sure who it's going to be rooting for. Jake?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Missouri, they should cover this easily. Vanderbilt is just atrocious at the moment. So Missouri's probably going to win by 20, 23, 24 points.
Jeb?
Yeah, I'm not taking Vanderbilt anymore. I'm sorry. They burned me too many times. And Missouri's actually got a pretty decent offense, so I'm definitely going Missouri.
Steve?
And Missouri, just take this for whatever you want to take. Missouri has given up an average of 285 yards a game on the ground. It's the worst rushing defense I've ever seen, and I'm still taking Missouri to cover in this game.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm taking Mizzou. Vanderbilt's just pitiful. They really are. They are pitiful.
I've got everybody here. We're doing picks and everything. But before the Egg Bowl, right? 5 days before, Ole Miss and State both play. Ole Miss plays Vanderbilt at home. Mississippi State plays Tennessee State at home. Who has the tougher game?
Vandy. It's Eddie George, man. He's going to coach circles around Clark Lee. Plus, that team will have already quit, so that'll be an interesting matchup. Yeah. Don't sleep on TSU now. Our next game, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, which we talked in depth about. UGA -14 against Florida in Jacksonville. Jake?
Yeah, me and Steven talked off air before we started. I feel like this could be close at half, but in the second half, it'd be a blowout. So I think that I think Georgia covers easily.
I don't know. A team maybe like Alabama with a great offensive line and a big bruising back might be able to do something here, but I just don't see. Florida kind of lives on that running game right now, and I don't see them being able to run on Georgia at all. I think Georgia's going to run away with this one.
I agree. I think we're going to make it a clean sweep, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah, we're absolutely going to take that because I'm going to take, no matter who Georgia's taking, I'm taking Georgia in the points the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
There you go. That's a good rule to live by. That's a dangerous rule to live by in years past, but it's a good rule to live by right now.
SEC championship game against Alabama. Who you got? I'm just kidding. You ain't got to answer that now.
Georgia in the points.
You know who I'm taking, Jake? War Eagle. No.
Okay.
Speaking of War Eagle, Ole Miss travels to the Plains. Matt Corral invades the Plains. Auburn is 3-point favorites at home. Yeah, I feel like this is easy money. Jake, how do you see it?
Yeah, Ole Miss. I mean, my hatred for Auburn runs deep. I was gonna wear a blue shirt tonight, but I couldn't find one in time. Just kind of matched the Ole Miss colors, but I hope Ole Miss curve stomps them. So
okay, all right.
How do you really feel, Jeb?
Curve stomp.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, curb stomp. Like Kirby, get it. Hey.
Auburn, to me, seems to kind of found themselves a little bit here recently. I think Auburn's a good team, but Ole Miss is they're playing just great football right now. They got beat by Alabama, and I think they had kind of a rough week after that, just getting over Arkansas, maybe over that beating, but they still were able to beat Arkansas. They were solid against Tennessee. They were great against LSU. I think Ole Miss is going to win this one.
Let me say something real quick.
Okay.
The reason I want Ole Miss to win is because if Auburn goes on to win, they're probably going to be 9-3 when they play Alabama. And Alabama versus 9-3 Auburn team at Jordan Hare is Struggleville. I mean, there's juju, there's all that crap. So we just need to go ahead and take care of that right now, Stephen. So get you guys ready.
Juju's playing for Auburn now?
No, just.
I was going to say that's an upgrade, man.
we call him Auburn Jesus because some kind of miracle always happens at Jordan Hare against Alabama. You know, when we're down there.
we talk about the horseshoe up Auburn's ass.
They have one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They have
Speaking
one. Trust me.
I'm taking Ole Miss as well. This is a game, though, honestly, if Auburn can win by 3 touchdowns or Ole Miss won by 3 touchdowns, or if it was 5 points either direction, I would not be surprised. But I'm taking Ole Miss in this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Ole Miss too. They're just too explosive. I think they found a little bit of defense now. I think they can get after the quarterback. And if you hit Bo Nix once, he's going to get happy feet and see ghosts and throw balls with no pressure that he thinks is there. So I'm taking the Rebs. Kentucky, basically a pick 'em at Mississippi State. That's a very interesting line considering where Kentucky is and considering where Mississippi State is. Jake?
I'm going to pick Kentucky, but, I mean, like you said, it's a pick 'em. Mississippi State has played a lot better here recently. Of course, they ran into Alabama and looked like garbage, but, but before that, they have looked a little bit better. But Kentucky, I mean, they're a really good team. I mean, they ran up against Georgia, but other than that, they should have a clean slate from here on out to win and be 11-1 potentially.
Jeb?
Yeah, I agree. It's close because Kentucky's had a week off to rest. Mississippi State played Vanderbilt, so same thing. And really, honestly, I think Kentucky's just a little bit better of a team, so I'm going with them to cover this one. But it could go either way. I'm going with
Steve. I think I'm gonna be on an island when I say this. Kentucky's gonna win big. Yeah. Like I don't think Mississippi State has an answer for Wandale Robinson and Chris Rodriguez and Josh Ali. I don't think they have an answer for any of that. I think Kentucky's defense is outstanding. Like I don't know that Mississippi State's gonna have any answers for any of that. I think Kentucky's gonna win big.
They're favored by 1.5. Just do the money line at this point. Money line Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky's going to win big. They're going to win 2.5 points.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking this game is a 24-7 type game.
Yeah.
Kentucky's going to get a couple of transition baskets, and I think there's going to be some threes that they're going to hit. And, oh wait, wrong sport.
No. My problem is I don't know enough about the X's and O's. I can't tell with Mike Leach's system when he's going to have a great week and when he's not. So that's why I always have trouble picking Mississippi State. Because I don't, some weeks they just come out and look great throwing the ball all over the place, and some weeks some teams shut them completely down.
It's all about disrupting the timing from the quarterback position. If you can get him off his spot and disrupt his timing even in the slightest bit, they struggle. Like it's a timing-based offense. It's a 1-2-3 throw to a spot, and
do not play man coverage. That's the trap that A&M fell into. Do not play man coverage.
If DBs can reroute in zone coverage and get those guys just even off their track just a little bit, again, throwing off the timing is the key to the air raid offense, and not giving them any holes to throw into. So we go outside the conference. Game day is going to be in East Lansing. Michigan comes in to take on what is actually a low-key, a pretty big rivalry, but you would never know it because, ESPN pumps Michigan, Ohio State like they do Red Sox, Yankees. Michigan State playing really, really good football right now under Mel Tucker. I think Mel Tucker is a viable candidate. I think he would be a better option than James Franklin at LSU if you really want to know my honest opinion. But they host Michigan, who has a great rushing attack right now. They're playing some really dynamic football defensively. They're playing really, really tough. This is the best team they've had, I think, since 2006, where they were ranked number 2 in the country for a long time until they got shellacked by Ohio State. Jake, how do you see this one?
I think with it being at East Lansing, Michigan State's got the advantage. It seems like Harbaugh finally has a quarterback for his type system. He hadn't had that, and they've been playing a lot better. Like you said, they got a good rushing attack, but Michigan State, they're on a roll this year. They look really good under Mel Tucker, so I'm going to give them the edge here.
And I just haven't been paying enough attention to Michigan State. It didn't appear. I've been watching Michigan a little bit though, and they have looked really good. So I'm going with them just because I've watched them, I've seen them, I know what they look like, and I don't know that much about Michigan State.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to give the credit to the next coach at LSU, Mel Tucker, and the Michigan State Spartans to get the win in East Lansing. So Michigan State has been good. This is the point of the season where the Big Ten starts chewing each other up. Ohio State, Penn State right now, Michigan State. It's a chance for a team that's saying 9 and 10 or 10 in the country if they keep winning games to consistently move up to the point where that Auburn-Alabama game is oh so important.
Yeah. I'm going Michigan here. I just think their rushing attack, and they're just overwhelming right now defensively. They make it tough, and I think they're going to get good enough quarterback play. I think they're on a roll. That has to account for something. Walker's a great running back for Michigan State, almost 1,000 yards there, but Michigan has a good 1-2 punch, and McNamara is playing outstanding at the quarterback position. So give me the Wolverines here. I'm probably going to regret that because every time I start to say, oh, Michigan's looking pretty good, they come flying down to earth and face plant. So, but I'm going to take the Wolverines here and then come back and eat my crow next week.
Yeah, I learned that the Michigan helmets are actually, when I buy them, they come in the yellow, and the sticker is actually the blue part. That's the part that's painted in there. It's a little bit of an interesting factoid.
Yeah.
Huh. Did you know that David Green and David Pollock played Pee Wee football together?
Yeah.
I bet you if you...
Did you know John Rice Plumlee plays baseball and the piano?
Oh, does he?
Oh,
I never knew that. I never
That's
knew that.
cool.
Yeah. That's cool. It's a fun fact. Yay. If you watch CBS for 4 years in a row, you would know the fact about David Green and David Pollock. Did you know that Reggie Nelson plays the deep middle safety as kind of like a robber? Did you know that Vern Lundquist, the first name on the tip of his tongue is always Tim Tebow? Wow, Tebow! Vern, this is Kentucky versus Mississippi State.
Oh. No, that would not have been a CBS game. No. This is LSU versus somebody. But it's
LSU.
Not Kentucky and Mississippi State. That is SEC Network 3 o'clock written all over it.
As Jefferson Pilot.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of Jefferson Pilot, Penn State traveling to Ohio State, traveling to the shoe. Ohio State minus 18.5. Jake, are you on the Ohio State bandwagon, or do you think the future head coach at USC can get it done?
After that pitiful game last week, I don't think Penn State can score. There's still kind of questions of if Clifford is 100% healthy. They struggled offensively. And Ohio State last couple of weeks have looked a lot better offensively. So I think Ohio State covers.
Yeah, Jeb.
Yeah. No, Ohio State has looked really good, so I understand that. Although I will say, I think James Franklin, that performance last week was pretty bad. If he really wants one of these jobs, he needs to audition a little better. I say he has him better this week and at least covers.
He's getting preparing for Illinois, not for Ohio State. So
once he figures out which team he's playing, he's going to play well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take Penn State to hold their own and cover against Illinois this weekend. They're locked in. They're focused. They're going to be able to cover. I don't know how Illinois is an 18.5 point favorite, but whatever. Penn State's going to be able to pull that off.
Well, Jake went 9-1 last week, so I might follow his lead, but I think Ohio State is just too explosive. They're going to win by 3 touchdowns. This game's going to be ugly. Give me the Buckeyes. All right, we go into the American, the Battle of Texas, sort of. Houston hosts SMU. It's basically a pick 'em, but I guess they're giving the home team a little bit of credit. I'm not buying it. I think it's a clean sweep for all of us. Jake, why do you like SMU?
They're playing incredible right now, and they're having a great run. And I mean, they may be the only team that can challenge Cincinnati here in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be a fun game if both teams are undefeated. That is going to be an extremely important matchup, especially for Cincinnati for playoff implications. And maybe SMU, if they do get a victory over the number 2 team, who knows what they could do. But I think SMU will win easily.
Yeah, I agree. Outside of Texas, the initial stumble that Houston had there against Texas Tech, outside of that, they've played really well this season too. But SMU has just been better from what I've seen. And I admit I've not watched every game, but from what I've seen, SMU's playing good football. So I'm definitely taking them.
I think you're looking at the future head coach at Texas Tech University, Sonny Dykes, baby. If you really want a glimpse into SMU's program, ESPN Plus does have a series that follows them. Check it out. But I'm buying the Mustangs here. I think they're rolling, man. I really like the way they're playing. Texas.
Wait, real quick. You didn't do me. I'm taking SMU as well. But one thing to know about this game is the year after SMU got the death penalty, when Forrest Gregg and the guys were coaching the team, Houston beat SMU. That was a run and shoot team, Andre Ware's team. They beat SMU 94-17.
Wow.
This is a game that SMU has not forgotten over the years. Every chance they get to get Houston, that 94-17 pops up, and now SMU has a chance to really pop them. And I think that SMU is going to be able to maybe start to atone for that post death penalty game.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of Texas, the Longhorns travel to Baylor. Baylor's 3-point favorites at home. I think the best thing Baylor could do is let Texas get about a 17-point lead at halftime. That would guarantee that Baylor could come back and win. Jake, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think Baylor's playing, one of the best balls in the country right now. In Texas, I mean, they may get up huge, but they cannot hold a lead. So I think Baylor is definitely going to cover here.
I think this is the week that Texas finally surprises a ranked team and actually wins the game. It's outside of maybe Lafayette the first week or something like that. But no, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Texas I like this year because their loss to Arkansas. I was surprised by that, and a lot of people were, but then Arkansas turned out to be a really good program. After that, I mean, Oklahoma, like you said, getting up early seems to be really just a death knell for them. I don't understand it. They're not as thin as
they just don't know any better. Texas doesn't know any better.
Yeah, it's maybe I feel bad for them. I don't know what it is, but I like this team and I want them to win. So I'm picking Texas.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baylor. Gary Bohannon. Gary, I don't know the first name exactly how to pronounce it. It's either Jerry or Gary. It's very Parks and Rec of me. But he's an excellent underrated quarterback, and these guys are pretty good. And Dave Aranda is calling all the right shots, and I think that he's a dark horse for the LSU job. I think they love Dave Aranda in Baton Rouge, and they kind of want to build him a mental statue. And so if this turns into a circus, he could be the fallback pick.
The best thing Bill Bryles did, the best thing Jeff Lebby did, the best thing all those guys did was get it out of that cesspool of Waco, Texas. Right? So Dave Aranda, I hope he gets to Baton Rouge. He's too good of a coach to be at Baylor. That being said, Baylor is amazing right now. They're playing really, really good football. Texas, again, they're playing. They just quite haven't shaken the stink off of the Tom Herman era. Tom Herman was a really weird guy. When you talk about just a weird, odd character, just creepily odd, that's what Texas has been living with for the last 4 or 5 seasons with Tom Herman. And they just haven't shaken that yet. And they play like it. They play like, in the first half, they play like, hey, Coach Sarker's our coach. We're aggressive. We're creative. We're explosive. We can do some things. And then they kind of revert back to, oh, well, we're not that good. we don't know what to think, and we're just kind of in a weird state of mind, and then they just fall apart. Bijan Robinson is one of my favorite players in the country. Love him,
Yes.
but you can't win with just Bijan Robinson. That's why I'm taking Baylor here. Baylor has got a more complete team. Baylor is a dark horse there, and Dave Aranda could potentially, if Mel Tucker does not follow through, could potentially be the next. He's probably the second choice outside of Mel. I think Tucker's front runner, if you ask me. All right, Virginia travels to BYU to take on the Cougs. Cougs are 3-point favorites at home in Provo. Jake.
Yeah, I think BYU bounces back. They lost a tough one last week, and I think they bounce back. Them guys are tough at home. We go kid around at work. Some buddies of mine said, their Normans are pretty tough at home. So, I think they bounce back and they cover this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Virginia's had actually a better season than I thought they would. They've played pretty well, but I think BYU is the stronger team. So I agree. I see them bouncing back and winning this week.
Did y'all know that Mr. Jefferson's University is the fastest offense in all of college football?
Faster than Tennessee?
Yes, faster than Tennessee. I think they're going to use their tempo to their advantage and get out of Provo with a win. Although I do like
Are they more powerful than a locomotive?
yeah, leaping tall buildings in a single bound. But they're doing quite well.
Bronco Mendenhall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which obviously this game is a contractually obligated game. They had to put this on there whenever Bronco went to UVA. This was probably in regards to a buyout or sometime. But I like the Wahoos in this game.
Okay, all right. I'm taking BYU. Again, I'm in favor of Kalani Sitake. I think any chance he gets to showcase his talent for that USC job, I think it would be really interesting to see him get it. That'd be really interesting for the Polynesian community as well if he was able to get it. So I'm rooting for BYU. I like them. They're kind of my Mountain West team this year that I really have latched onto. So I'm taking the Cougs here. I really like the style of play they bring. I think they're a little bit more physical than the Wahoos. So that's why I'm taking the Cougs. Last, maybe certainly least, maybe not least. I'm not sure. When it comes to offense, yes, definitely least. When it comes to defense, Iowa's pretty damn good. Wisconsin is just in the tank right now. But Wisconsin and Camp Randall is good enough to be 3-point favorites. I feel like this possibly, again, I don't know if this is a trap. I don't know if you should take my advice. I did go 6-4 last week, but Iowa, they got to find some offense somewhere. Brian Ferentz, I don't know if he's the dude, but they've got to find some offense somewhere. Do they find it this week, Jake?
Well, I'm going to pick them, and I hope they do. But, yeah, Wisconsin is tough at home, but this has another one of the Big Ten type games where it could be like a 7-3, 10-7, whatever type game. It just feels like that because both offenses have struggled, and it could be a snooze fest. But I think Iowa does enough to cover.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Wisconsin is favored in this one, unless it's just that big of a home field advantage, or maybe they just match up real well with Iowa. I'm not sure, but Iowa, I think, is playing better football right now, so I'm taking them to win that game.
Yeah, Iowa's gonna at the end of the third quarter wave at a non-existent children's hospital, and Wisconsin's going to do jump around, and I'm going to enjoy the jump around, and I'm going to take Wisconsin in this game.
Yeah, I jump around. Funny story about Wisconsin. The two guys I do illegal motion with, and the guy that hosts Believe in Badgers podcast. He hosts that with the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Check that show out if you need a Big Ten show. If you want to get outside the conference for a minute and get into the Big Ten, that's a really, really good show. I'm trying to convince my friend Josh to do an Iowa show. I think that would be intriguing. But when you look at Wisconsin, when somebody gets injured, no matter what the injury is, severe or not severe, the student section would start screaming, "Shoot him like a horse! Shoot him like a horse! Shoot him like a horse!"
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big Ten,
Okay, so
Big Ten football, folks. He told me that, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Speaking
Wow.
of Big Ten football, this is Big Ten After Dark. Has anybody heard from Minnesota in like 5 weeks?
Yeah, they're surging, man. They're rolling.
They got beat by who? Like Bowling Green or something like that. And then after that, they went on a tear.
They went on an absolute tear. They've been destroying people.
Yeah, but that's kind of like, and other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show?
Yeah.
Well, they're rowing the freaking boat.
Yeah.
I think they upended North. Let me. You guys talk about something, and I'll look that up there. Talk about something, anything.
So let's talk about
How's the weather, folks?
Yeah.
Minnesota plays Northwestern this week, by the way.
Okay.
They beat the holy you know what out of Maryland last week.
Yeah, Maryland's kind of fallen off the cliff.
They beat
how do you pronounce his first name? Talia?
Talia.
Yeah.
Talia.
Talia or something like that.
I think it's Talia.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come on, Jake. You should know that. Minnesota beat Nebraska 2 weeks ago.
Well, everybody reached Nebraska.
That's true. They were off week 6, and they beat Purdue, who beat Iowa. So Minnesota's better than Iowa. And then this was the week that they lost to Bowling Green. So ever since week 4, they've been on a freaking tear. So PJ Fleck, the next head coach at USC.
Everybody's the next head coach at USC.
Pretty much.
The only thing that I'd be willing to bet on is that Sonny Dykes is going to be the next head coach at Texas Tech. I would bet on that one because of Spike Dykes and the legacy of that family in Lubbock.
Mm-hmm. Like if I'm Texas Tech, I throw the freaking bank at it, or I go apologize to Cliff Kingsbury and say, "You want to come back?"
Yeah, he's
Arizona
undefeated in the NFL.
Yeah, Arizona's killing it in the NFL right now. He ain't leaving.
No, he's like, who would have thought he'd have turned more into an NFL guy?
Yeah.
But I mean, he did kick around in the league for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not completely foreign to him, and he did hang with Tom Brady for most of those years. So there's something to that. But that's going to wrap it up for us here on Sunbelt, ACC, Big Ten, MLB, NBA After Dark, SEC After Dark. But no, that's going to wrap us up here on SEC After Dark. Jake, it's been a pleasure to have you. We should do this more often. The fourth amigo. I like this 4-shot here. Unfortunately, it's going to be a 3-shot from here on out because I'm leaving to go to USC. I'm going to be the next head coach at USC. So
I'm taking your spot.
Yeah, it's been real. I'm taking a La Terrain watch with me.
Yeah.
So if you want to catch us, follow us Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You can follow my shows, Believe in Dogs. You can follow Jake here on Tide Talk. Also catch Jake and I on our respective shows, Beast of the East and Best of the West. And tonight together we join forces to give you the best show on the planet, SEC After Dark. You can catch Steve. Yep. Earth, Wind, Fire. Nope. And yes, we are a soul reggae band too. But yeah, check us out. Hit that bell notification. Subscribe on YouTube. We are echoed all over the place. We are on Willis Digital Media, home of the Palmcast, which is actually killing it. This show is killing it. Best of the West is killing it. Beast of the East is killing it. We didn't have a show this week. We couldn't work out our schedules, but this will supplement that show for this week. But since we talked so heavy about the cocktail party, but so a lot of great things. A lot of great things in the offing. I'm excited at the direction of this. The chat was on fire today. I had a couple names that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
So welcome. I hope you guys pass the word on to your friends and say, hey, this ain't just an Ole Miss show. This is we talk MLB, we talk NBA, we talk NHL, we talk boxing,
Sunbelt.
we talk Sunbelt, we talk Tottenham Hotspur, we talk. Just kidding. It's mostly SEC.
If you have me on a lot more, we'll talk about wrestling because I love wrestling too.
Yeah, so we have English Premier League After Dark.
Yeah. Everton, baby.
Or actually, it could be like English Premier League this morning for them because it's probably daylight for most of Europe. So
That's true.
Yep, there you go. English Premier brunch with No, we got to. Okay, we got to work that title. All right. So,
Most of my knowledge of that comes from Ted Lasso. Sorry.
yeah, it's a good resource. So, for Steve and Jeb and Jake, I'm Corey Burton. This is SEC After Dark on Willis Digital Media. Hope you had as much fun as we do. Hope you have a great rest of your week and an even better weekend. We'll see you back here next week. Go Dogs.
Hotty toddy.
Roll Tide, says Jake.
Go Big Orange.
War Eagle. Jake, don't say War